Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay, if you guys don't know, this is my baby sister. This is Haley Rose Glass.
Hi.
She is 24 now, correct?
Correct.
And I think you probably should tell the story because it's your story, really.
Sure.
But how you come to be in our family, because one of the things, obviously, that's like a little bit unique about our family is how everybody gets there. This is not at all the largest defining factor about you.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that when I say, like, you're my baby sister, and then someone sees me, they're kind of like,
What's going on here?
I'm just trying to process. I think most people in the modern era get it.
Yeah.
But I just do think it's something that's worth explaining a little bit, just so people have a thing. But I will say this. She is brilliant, I would say, quite sensitive, very, very thoughtful, absurdly loyal, I think is a good,
Yes.
good descriptor.
Very much so.
Good sense of humor. You're my only co-nerd in the family. I have no other nerds. It's just you. So it's you and me.
It's very rare, even just in the world.
Yeah.
I don't see it that often.
Yeah. It's you and me against the world on that. And then also, I think just somebody that has kind of had to navigate a lot of challenges that, like, especially Callie and I didn't innately have to navigate. And so I think
for sure
it has shaped you in some ways that is maybe different from us. And not only is, I think, your personality at base different, me and Callie are very different.
Yeah.
But I think there's another part of you that's also different just because of, like, what your story is, what it's like growing up without brothers and sisters in the home for the full journey and having so much time to yourself. And but now also too, what's so exciting is you're like working big girl jobs. You're like killing it. You're just like doing so many cool things that I just like really, really love. I'm so proud of you. And so, but I wanted to have you on for a variety of reasons. We'll get into those questions.
Absolutely.
But I do think, just to give the reference, like, how do you come to just be a part of our family?
Yeah. So, I was adopted from Xi'an, China when I was 10 months old. Larry and my dad, Steven, they went and flew to China for 2 weeks. And they went to the orphanage and got me and picked me up. And then they plopped around China for 2 weeks and went to all the restaurants and went to the Great Wall of China, saw the terracotta warriors and soldiers and everything like that. And Dad always says when they would go to the restaurants, they all just wanted to hold me, and they'd be like, "No, let's no, like we want to take her and hold her. You eat, you do that, like we'll take her." So he would always say that they would just obsess with me. And then when I got home, when they brought me back, Mom made blueberry pancakes for me. And we had this growing up, we had this whole story that Dad would tell me every night. I would ask him, okay, like, tell me the story. And so he would say, okay, like, long time ago, we went on an airplane and we flew, and I'd have like these little parts where I would have my part to say. We'd look over the air.
Way.
Did you not know this?
No, this is the first time here. I love it.
Oh my God. Yeah, no. Almost every night I would say, okay, we tell the story. And so he would say, and I can't remember all of it now because it's been so long since he's told it, but it's like, okay, like long time ago, we wanted a baby. And so, we decided like it was China. And so Daddy went in on an airplane and flew and looked over the window and is like, are you there? Is she there? And I'd be like, no. And then fly a little more, and is she there? And I'd be like, yeah. And then that was what I would say. And then he would get there, and he was talk about how he would get me, and he counted my 10 fingers and 10 toes.
Yep.
And he laid me down and he said, you were not a fussy baby, and you really just stared at me for a long time. And it's emotional just because it means so much to me, and that story that Dad tells. But then he would say, then we came back on the airplane and you didn't like cheese, so you threw up. And so I still, like, I can handle dairy now, but back then, I was more sensitive. And plus for Chinese people and like Asian people, it's not really in their diet. And so at the time I wasn't used to that heavy.
Yeah, that microbiome
exactly
was for that American dairy. It's a dairy heavy culture out here.
Exactly. So yeah, he would be like threw up and like be and then we come home and Jason and Callie were there, and then Mama made you eat. I think he would ask you like, did she make this? And it'd be like, no. she made blueberry pancakes, and you ate them down, and you loved them, and then since then, I mean, I've been with you guys. So
yeah, I will never forget the day that we got you. I was in high school, and I got picked up at the high school. No. I was in high school, and we went to the airport. And I remember standing at that place in SeaTac where everybody comes up the escalator.
Yes.
And I could kind of see it, but not really. You were kind of shrouded because you were swaddled a little bit. And one of the things that's just like always important in my mind is just like the orphanage does the most that they can. But at that time in China's history, there wasn't a very high volume of girls and babies. And so they spent a high volume of time bundled. So I remember physically while you were very just like the cutest baby, you were so little for 10 months. And I remember being like, whoa, this is like, it felt like you were brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, you were brand new to us.
I was, but also.
But size wise, it was like you were such a little one.
I was underdeveloped too, like because mom like very open talk about everything, you know? So I knew like the orphanage, it was always cold. Like they didn't have heat and everything. So mom and dad they were always like sending clothes and stuff to make sure that I was warm. But I think we also like at the time you shared a crib with another baby, so it was like me and another baby, and then it was like one caregiver or something forever, however many. So
quite
it was also exactly. So it was also more babies, and there were caretakers.
Less
so
caretakers.
It was a lot of work, and I also knew that they weren't like the majority of like the food that they gave was like milk with sugar, because they didn't really have any like solid foods I think at the time. So that was really what they were feeding me. So that was partially why too I was so small and like pretty like I needed to gain weight, and I was 10 months old,
and you needed to move more.
That too, exactly.
More. And that would have helped you gain weight. The other part was just like there was also not as much movement. But the thing was, you came up, and I remember getting to hold you, and I just instantly was teary-eyed. I just remember thinking like, wow. And it's one of the coolest experiences of my life for one really big reason, which is like the way me and Callie come to know each other is I'm so little. And so then Callie shows up, and I have a child's understanding of this person being here. And like, yeah, I mean, I don't even know where you came from. Like, I just know that I went to the hospital and you were on my mom's chest, and they're like, ready to meet your baby sister. And I was like, sure. You know what I mean? But you don't have a full concept of what it's taken to bring you to this point. I was 16 when you came. So as a result, I had such an idea of, wow, this has been long before you were born, we were in the process. Yeah. And so it was like we were always, and that's always what I've said to Hale, but like you were always coming here. That's how I've always felt about it. You were always a part of the squad, and we were just like waiting for the day. And then when you got here, it was that realization of like how much energy, time, thoughtfulness, preparation, high hopes, all these things to get you to be a part of our family. And then when you were, it was just such an incredible thing, because I remember that sensation of like, you think you are going to be so connected to your sister. I think this is one of the reasons why maybe people don't consider adoption, is because you have this idea that the love you will feel will be different for the person who isn't from your like your bloodline. Yeah. And I remember holding you, and that question just being like, nope, not a real thing. And that was such a remarkable experience to go through at 16 years of age. I think it is probably one of the most formational reasons of why I feel the way I feel about so many people who are different from me. I think I have always had this sense that I felt very tied to people who were different from me at a human level, different parts of the world, totally different ways of believing, totally different ways of living, still feeling very much like, I'm with you, you're with me, whether you know it or not. And I think that's because when I was 16 and I'm trying to figure out what matters, what counts, who am I, they handed me you. And I was like, well, you're definitely in. And that feeling of like, I just adored you, and I hadn't been with you for less than a minute. It was like, wow. I think that when you have more kids, or when you have more siblings or more people into your life, your love is going to get split, but it doesn't. Somehow it just expands. Yep. It just can grow in its size. And that was the first real experience of that in my life. And I think, so I just take so much, I always just feel so, I always have said it, but I'll say it again, which is just like, I think one of the luckiest things that has ever happened to our family is that you came to be a part of it. So I just think that's a
Thank
good little
you.
intro.
Yeah, I love it.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
And I think that's just such a cool part because I don't think a lot of people get to have that experience. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't really understand adoption. It's really not common.
It's not. No.
And unfortunately, funny enough, there's really not that many kids in the U.S. So this isn't an adoption podcast,
No.
but this is just a thing where I think it has been such an incredibly fruitful thing for us. And that said, you know, the road that you take through life is also challenging because of it. There is a second set of things that happens to you that doesn't happen to us
Yeah.
because we are able to understand the culture we're born in, the way we appear, even being, you know, mixed race, seeing and understanding like, okay, but this is ultimately my squad, you know, in a blood level and also
Yeah.
culturally.
Yeah.
It's all I've known. You coming here and then realizing like, wow, I actually come from a place that is very different culturally, very different in its origin, the way people operate, what they believe, how they talk to each other. And I even wonder a little bit if parts of your personality are not only reflective of your biological parents, but also of the culture that
100%. No.
do you feel like that's true?
I really do, and the reason, and not like, you know, mom. We love. We're already talking about mom. I love her so much, but in a positive way. Mom always says like, well, you think like some of these behaviors are mannerisms, and I truly believe that. Of like, now, you know, being in this family, it's taught me to, you know, be able to like have a voice and say what's up and all those things. But I think if I didn't have you and mom and Callie and dad and all of you to kind of teach me those ways, I would probably still be pretty quiet around a lot of people, very, very introverted, still very sensitive, but like not really having, and maybe, you know, I would have developed them in other ways as I got older. But I think like being young and like having people in my face like talking a bunch and, you know, this and that, like in the best way, but like it taught me those skills early on, and, you know, all throughout high school and college and all those things, as I grew more into myself. But I definitely think like when I was younger, I was so quiet, so introverted. I would just kind of be in the corner and observing everything, and I still do to some degree, but no, for sure.
Yeah, because I usually break it up into like anytime someone comes around the family that's never been there, I'm always like, well, you'll notice there's the quiets and the louds.
Yeah.
And the louds is me, mom, and Callie.
Yeah.
And the quiets are Aziz, Hale, and Steve.
Yeah.
And that is like that little bifurcation is so funny. But I love it. And also at the same time, though, I think what I found about all three of you is that there is such a high level of perceptiveness among you, Steven, and Aziz. When you guys do choose to talk and share, there is always such an incisive and like brilliant way of adding, even though you're not as verbose as me, Callie, or mom. And so, but I'm so glad to hear that, because that's always been my concern a little bit. It's like, are we just blowing people out of the water? Are we just not cutting enough space for, you know?
I think it can be both at the same time. I think, you know, everyone has their stuff, and, you know, I could always, you know, try and reduce this, or I could always try and do that. But I think who just as we are is perfect, and it's great. And I think that if we're always trying to like nitpick at things, it's just gonna drive you crazy, you know? So it's just like, if you talk a lot, that's okay. If I'm quiet all the time, that's okay. You know, whatever it is okay. But my natural disposition is usually like I like to just sit back first and observe what's going on, scan, see what people are doing. You know, what's this one saying? What is their attitude like? What is their like body language? That kind of stuff. I just naturally just always noticed and pay attention to more than like jumping in, you know, head first, like, okay, you guys, like blah, 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 you know, which, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. So as you kind of go through this period, right, you guys lived on Bainbridge, you lived all over the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And this state, it moved a bunch. And then that's kind of mom's rule every 3 years is like the thing, you know, but at the same time, one of the big transitions I think for you too was getting into college and then going through this process of like really kind of carving out your own space. And I really feel like in the last 2-3 years, it's really like you just hitting a big stride of
definitely.
Okay, I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. And that picture is always becoming so much more clear.
Trying to.
And yeah, but I mean, that's what I was a million miles away when I was your age. I was a million miles away. So no, I think you're crushing it. And I also think, but what I think is really exciting to talk about too is kind of like, what does life, because it sounds weird. I always think this is so strange. Like you're 24 and I'm 40. I feel like
when you say it out loud, that's weird.
It's weird, right?
But because I don't see you like that.
Oh, okay.
I never see even see you guys as like older. I still think of Callie like it's till to this day. It's so funny seeing her as a mom and a wife and like a full-time like worker, because I still have such vivid memories of living in the Hedges house and her living at home, being like 16, and me hanging out in her bed, waking up every morning. And I always say, God, I hated it, because Mom would wake me up too to be like, come on, Hale, we have to take Cal to the bus stop, and it would be like so early, and I have my ducky blankie. I'd be like, God, like I hate this. But also the good memories of like hanging out with Callie and her high school friends, and like making prank calls with them. And I was always, because she loved me so much, I was always a part.
Well,
and so I like, we're always growing and evolving, but I still like, dude, I think it's crazy that you're like your mom, because even you, I mean, you're a grown man and you're doing your life, but I still think, no, that's just Jason, my brother. Like it just is.
Well,
and I don't think of it as like, yeah, he's 40. Like that's no.
That's
I've never thought about it like
that's
that.
That's good.
Ever.
I know, but it is one of those things that I always realize, and like, it's probably the one thing I'm curious to hear your thoughts on is how hard is it? Do you feel like though, because I do think one of the, I'll call it a consequence of having so much siblings that are in some regard much older, is that there's a lot of input on your life.
Yeah.
And my question is that a good thing, a bad thing, or how do you think you are trying to handle that? And, how can we do that different if it's not going good?
No, I love that question. And I think like, again, at the different stage, when I was in middle school and high school, and how you guys kind of interacted with me is vastly different to now, that I'm 24 and we're like a lot older. I will say with Cal, and she already knows this, is like, she was more of a parent, like kind of getting on me for stuff when I was like, dude, like,
you're not my mom.
Or I mean, and admittedly, there were some things that like I wasn't really supposed to be doing, and then she would rat me out to Mom. I'd be like, God, I hate just the fact that she would rat me out to Mom. It happened on so many occasions, dude. And like you live and you learn. But so that was like that phase, making those mistakes and doing that. But now, and you were in your 20s and you were working and stuff, so you weren't necessarily like, we didn't have a relationship then, just because you were doing your own thing, and I was living at home with Mom and Dad and Callie too for a short period of time. But then, like, let's say now to graduating high school and going into college and stuff, and then Callie, she's still a bit more like, Hale, you should like do this and make sure like you're doing this. But I knew it came from like, hey, I love you so much, and I just want to make sure like you're set and like you make good choices as far as like your education and all that kind of stuff, because she was the only one had been at the time the only one to go to college and get her degree and know what that's like, and what the college experience is like and kind of what to expect. And so she, through everything, she's kind of helped me and walked me through those things. And when I've had questions about like, oh dude, what do I do here, she'd be like, okay, you'll do this, blah blah, and she still does this to this day, which is great. I love it now that I'm 24. But and now, like, even you guys, like, sometimes it can be not as much anymore. Like I would say in the past year and a half, it's not as annoying anymore. But there was a time I was like, God, Mom, all they do is just tell me what I should be doing, and I feel like I'm not doing the right thing. And like, then if I don't do it, then I'm like letting them down, or I'm failing them and like pleasing them, and that was hard. And I had to kind of get my own head on my shoulders to be like, it's not their life. They're not living my life. They don't know what's going on. They're not on the ins and outs of it. So, and Mom helped me to be like, to kind of emphasize that and be like, you need to make the choices that work for you. And hey, if what they're saying is like not applicable, just disregard it. Don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, I know, but like, it's so hard. And so I definitely went through that for a little bit, of like,
it's normal.
Yeah, I don't want to let them down and, feel like I'm failing them. And so once I kind of was able to get out of that headspace and more have like a good head on my shoulders of like, yeah, actually that doesn't work for me, but I appreciate you saying that, but I'm not doing that.
Good.
And I'm way more like that now, and which has been a lot really helpful. And so I feel like I'm much more able to take like, oh yeah, like they said this and it's like cool, but you know, like that doesn't really apply to me, or I might think about it, or I might do that, yeah, if I think it works for me, absolutely. And I think also too with like as I'm older, you know, and getting more of a voice and learning what works for me and what doesn't, is also always being open to the conversation of saying, hey, you know what, actually I don't think that is for me, and even having the voice to state that versus not saying anything and just kind of taking it and being silent and then thinking afterwards, you know. So being able to have that open dialect of like, hey, actually, you know, blah blah blah. And with Callie specifically, you know, she is and I'm sure she mentioned it, but like her being diagnosed with ADHD and taking the Adderall, it's really helped her to kind of be who she's supposed to be and just killing it, but like authentically her. And so I've noticed that she's a lot more open to different conversations and just being open in general. So I'm like, oh wait, like actually Callie, I'm feeling a little nervous or something, and then she's like, no, okay, like take a deep breath, it's okay. Or I'm like, actually Callie, like I want to talk about this, or stuff like that. I think we're both just a lot more open to giving each other grace and just being like, hey, I want to talk about this with you. This is what I was thinking. Like, okay, no, this is what I was thinking. This is what you were thinking. Okay, cool. And kind of like
triangulating together.
Yeah, and
finding the way you can walk forward without feeling like you have to abandon yourself to make someone happy.
Yeah,
and
that's same with you too.
That's a hard thing. I think that's hard for everybody. And I remember reading this quote a while back, and it has always stuck with me. And it said that leaving your childhood home is a lifelong process. So just this idea that like we come up and we are so steeped, and I don't necessarily mean it with a negative connotation, but there is an indoctrination that will always occur in every household, a way of being and a way of doing things.
Because we have our roles too in Cali. We always talk like, when I get with her, you know, so independent, can do everything, but then when I get with her, I'm like, wait, what? Or she's like, dude, are you like, do you know how to live your life? I'm like, yes, I promise I do. She doesn't say that, but I'm like, I swear I do. But, you know, I have like the little baby sister, you know, automatic thing. I'm like, well, wait, what do I do? And Kelly's like, just do it like this or something. You know, she doesn't say it like that. But like you're saying, those rules, you know, just and learning to outgrow them.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, which is that as long as the people who are around you who maybe have been a bit further and they love you, they're constantly trying to wake up in you the awareness of this piece you're missing. And I think that for a while, because you were innately so receptive, there was that fear of like, well, is Hale going to know what to do? Is she going to decide for herself what she's going to do?
Mom was waiting for a while.
No,
like,
for sure. And then when that, but when that started to show up, it's so funny because even once someone says, no, I'm doing it this way, when it's that person type, you kind of go, they got it. Because you know, like, oh, you're doing the thing, which is like this. There are no perfect decisions. There's almost no perfect paths. So even my philosophy, Callie's ideas, Mom's philosophy about how you ought to do something, it's one perspective. It might be useful to you, like you said. It may not. But the most important thing is that I tend to find with people is that your life means something, and you usually have the thrust to see something through when you've chosen it. This is how I want to do work, school, relationships, whatever, friendships, spirituality, money, whatever pursuits, whatever that is. Once you start making those bigger decisions about your way, well, there's hardships for every one of us that have tried our own shit. It's just that I think that it breeds a sense of confidence in the people who are looking over like, we don't have to worry anymore. They got it. And I think that's where a lot of that came from initially was, well, Hale's so receptive and she'll say yes to this and then she'll say yes to this and then she'll do something that we're like, why did you do that? Because we can't understand. But at the same time, you were still thinking something. As time went on, you got better at articulating what you were thinking. You got better at making real choices for yourself, whatever the consequences of that may be, good or bad. And once you know a person's capable of going, I'm capable of saying what this is, as long as it's real for me, and then come good, come bad, I feel equipped to handle it. That's why I'm choosing this, because this is what for me feels worth it. I'm going to go this way with school. I'm going to go this way with my career. I'm going to do blah, blah. And that's when I think hopefully for all of us, it also tempered some of that, shrunk the volume of us constantly trying to
No,
jump
yeah,
down your
it
throat.
really, no, 100%, definitely, and
Yeah.
again, we're always learning and evolving, so.
Yeah. And speaking of evolving,
Yeah.
one of the things that I think is really cool to see is like not only that trait, but also to like who, like Callie, I think articulates it a really good way, which is figuring out who I am at work. And I feel
Dude,
like
it's really hard. It's so hard. Oh my god, it's rough. It's rough. And I admittedly, like, I'm only like 2-3 years in, so I'm a baby.
Right.
Very very new. Very like, yeah. But it's hard.
Yeah, there's a lot that you're having to learn and uptake. But what's been really
Yes.
cool is I remember back when it was like doing this job, really don't like it, suffering through it, just being like, I guess I got to show up every day. I will never, ever.
Oh god. Okay. I know.
I will never forget Salt and Straw. I will never forget.
It was bad, dude. It was bad.
I remember you being at Salt and Straw and trying to scoop that ice cream, getting arthritis in a matter of weeks, and then being like, I came in there and I just kept trying to crack jokes, and I have the clip on my phone of you like, Jace, stop it. Just
I was not in the
furious.
mood. I was
Furious.
not in the mood.
Oh my
Nothing
God.
anyone could have done. Because it's like, and we've all gotten to that point where like you've worked your butt off.
Oh, yeah.
You've talked to everyone. You've talked to idiot people. You've talked to not nice people. You've talked to just people who are not treating you how you should be treated. For a long time, and you're like, it doesn't even, like, I love you guys to death, but it doesn't matter if it's you guys. I am fried. I cannot scoop one more scoop of ice cream or I will die.
Just seeing a Salt and Straw employee with all the get up, just dead miserable, trying to scoop you a little kid's cone.
I have not like been back in there since.
Really?
I don't think, like, maybe once a couple times, but I just don't.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. But I never forget that. But now what's super cool
Yeah.
is like to watch you go from that to being like a person who's like, how hard you pushed yourself on applying for your current job, how hard you've worked to just like build your resume and your skills and do all these things and really start to put together and pursue a life and career that really makes you happy.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing to watch. Do you feel like there's like, I guess I would ask, what do you feel like is the thing you've gotten from that process? And what is the part that you enjoy the most, or is there anything that you enjoy the most about kind of this journey of work?
Yeah.
Or is it right now still like, because those first few jobs are not fun.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that, you hate them, but it's like, those first few jobs are tough.
Yeah. Well, my very first job was, I think but I worked at Abercrombie Fitch. I was
Retail.
yeah. Did you not know this?
No, I thought it
Oh.
was
Cactus.
Matador.
Oh, you're so far. You're so far behind. It's okay.
Dang.
It's okay.
Okay.
You're so far behind. No, it's okay. The very first job I had at 18 was I worked at Abercrombie Fitch.
God, the music and all the smells.
Oh, dude,
How'd
so
you
at
survive?
the very beginning, I didn't mind it. Like, I was working with
Yeah.
friends and everything, but then like once there was, I don't know, it like went downhill or something, and then you're just free folding the same clothes every day and the
I
go
didn't.
back.
I've lived that
Yeah,
life.
exactly. You
I've
know, you
lived
worked in
that
Super
life.
Club. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that was the only retail job that I ever worked at as for clothing. I was
Gotcha.
like, okay, I will not do this again, and
Yeah.
I didn't. And then so from there, I moved to working in restaurants, and that itself I didn't hate for a while. And the reason the reason being
For a
is because
while.
it was fast paced. I like things that are fast paced, and like I liked interacting with people, and that was one of the things that I first realized about myself is I really like talking with people. Only thing that I didn't like about the job was I got tired of getting treated like trash. I will not be doing this again. And same thing with the retail. I was like, I learned my lesson. I learned what I liked. I learned what I didn't like. I was tired.
We won't be back.
Yeah, exactly. We will not be doing this again. And then right out of college, I got like this little admin job at this little company thing. But then after that job, I worked at TikTok for like a year. And now the one that I have, it's like a tech startup, but it's been around for like 6 years. It's a tax solution company, and we specialize in S corporations. And we help them file their taxes. We do their bookkeeping, accounting, finances, all that good stuff. That is not my forte. It's not what I got my degree in. My major was society, ethics, and human behavior, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in people. I've always been interested in why do people do what they do, and like their thought process behind that, and just the human brain. It's fascinating to me as far as like the social science,
the sociological nature of
exactly.
People. Yeah.
So like the philosophy, the psychology, the sociology, all those.
Co-nerd.
Yeah, I love like that. I could talk about forever because it's so interesting to me. Like, what's an LLC? What's an S corporation? What's a Schedule C? Schedule E? Didn't know nothing about taxes, God forbid. So
that's cool though. You learned a lot.
So much. And now like I can confidently explain like retirement plans, how payroll works, your tax, like all that stuff. I know how to like talk about and explain.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and explain to clients.
That's kind of, I feel like, the point of those first jobs.
Yeah.
Is like you have to see enough to know what you don't like.
Yeah.
I think some people are fortunate in that they are born in such a way that they know what they want to do. Like, Steven is, he's a psycho. He's a weirdo.
He wanted to be a doctor,
Yeah, but for everybody else, I think a lot of people figure out what they want to do by doing things they don't want. And then all of a sudden you start to better weave down, like, kind of whittle down to what is the actual thing that would be really interesting and satisfying. And how are you going to access your interest inside of a role that's paying? Because like, I'll sit at home and read Fossil, but no one's going to pay me for that. So it's like, how do you access it and those interests? And then realizing that like, man, your interests can change over time, and what you like now, you might not like later or whatever. You start a new job and you're kind of excited. It's a new experience, new people. Get down the road 6 months, you're like, oh, dang, this isn't for me. But you kind of have to go and see. So you've been doing that, and you've just done, I just wanted to highlight how much you've just kind of been able to really take these big shots and just continue to push yourself and find ways to continue to grow. And I think that's the most important thing when you're young, is like, how can I keep growing? How can I like learn new things, try new stuff, have more experiences, go a place I haven't, do a thing I've never done, so that way you can learn more about yourself. And I think that's maybe why Callie expresses it as figuring out who I am at work, because it's like you're also learning you as much as you're learning the job. And that kind of helps inform what next steps you might take or what new path you might pursue. And I think it's just a good way to see work as like a thing that you're figuring out. Okay, but I think that's super cool. And it also just like makes me happy to see you growing in that. I'm like really excited to see where you'll be in like another 5 years. And I think it took Callie a very long time too. Yeah. It just takes everybody a long time to find that on average.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But I just think you're doing such a killer job. Trust me, if I showed you where I was at 24, you'd have been like, God, are you okay? So I just want you to know.
We've all probably been at that place.
Yeah, but the quicker you can get out of that, man, the better it is. I always tell people, I'm like, man, whatever you can get right in your 20s is worth triple down the road. Whatever you can get right in your 20s.
Dude, I'll be trying every day.
Yeah, that's it. That is the key.
That's all I can do.
I think I gave up for a few years in my 20s. So I think I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm out. No. Okay, so the other thing is that I also think we are separated by a different generation, because you are
kind of.
Because are you a millennial?
No, I'm a Gen Z.
That's right. So this generational difference means that we have different like experiences of culture. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, we can't understand each other.
True. Okay.
I'm saying that like when I grew up, you had to dial up the internet.
That's great.
You had to press a button and you had to wait 3 minutes and it would make 15 sounds. And then all of a sudden it would like pop up, and when pages would load, you go to Google, it would go.
Yeah, I've never heard of
and
that
before. It'd take maybe, right.
That's crazy.
There was no such thing as the cell phones that we had no, well, I guess there was one game, Snake. And but they only made calls. There was no screen. There was no photos. There was no camera. Social media did not exist. The internet did not exist in any format that it does now. There was no YouTube. There was no whatever. There's no such thing as streaming. You wanted to watch your program, you better be there. TiVo was a massive invention, which was a way that you could record live cable. So you could go, oh, I want to watch that. I'm going to press TiVo. And prior to that, it was a VCR, because there was no way to make sure you didn't miss your show. Or now, there's, cable if you want, but otherwise.
I just know it's like hit record and it'll record. That's the oldest that I remember.
That's what we had. So there was so many differences, but also the way we socialized, the way we I think this is also one of the things that like your generation really has trouble with, and I think, and it'd be interesting to hear your take on it, which is like the way that, romance functioned when we were kids and you're in high school, you really only had access to the girls that went to your high school or people that you saw face to face, right? If you saw someone, you could approach them, but there was no way to have a broader awareness of anything. Maybe if you were a really elite or athlete or a hyper popular person for some reason, you could know kids at like the next high school over. But like nobody where we grew up knew what was happening 2 cities over. Like, didn't have contact, engagement, whatever it was on average. Nowadays, I think even for young people, we spend our time a lot going out because that was the only way to meet someone. There was no dating apps. There was no way to know other people. So if you wanted to meet someone, you had to like go to a bar, go to a dance club, go somewhere where we were all going to congregate. And your generation does it so much differently than us. But I think there's some gifts to that, but I also think there's some curses to that.
I'll be honest, I've seen no gifts, but but continue.
Well, that's kind of a little bit what the science says, but I'm curious to know because I think one of the things that is also different for us, we approached our youth with this deep sense of optimism. So like millennials had this belief that we were going to do something crazy. We were really going to do something crazy. Yeah. And I think funny enough, we still think that, because we are we're the ones that were driving, gay marriage. We were the ones that elected the first black president. We were the ones that were, pushing for so many social evolutions, right? Then simultaneously, we were the kids that were on the bleeding edge at one point of technology, but it accelerated right past us and got to you. It got to just a fever pitch that no one can grasp.
I will tell you,
AI was in movies in a way that it's so bad, the presentation of what AI could do and was, that like even what ChatGPT is, which isn't even AI, you're like, oh, that's even more sophisticated than what we even saw at the time. Yeah. And so there has just been so many changes, but now that you are the first generation to really rise in this era, I'm curious to know, like, how do you feel about technology? How do you feel about the way it impacts, dating, friendships, relationships, your concept of yourself?
I remember and also because we had technology, like I had like my iPod touches, and like the Apple computers, like I had all of that, and so from young age, like I can't remember, but like young age, where you're taught like online and everything, and your friends were doing the same things too, and you're on like the same apps and everything, and you're like on Snapchat and Kik and all these different chat apps and stuff. And now that I like look back and remember what I was doing and who I was talking to and stuff like that, I'm like, we need to make sure we see Zara's phone and everything she's doing and make sure she doesn't have these apps and all these things, because it was so accessible. And like mom and dad, they were on, not mom, she like tried her best to like monitor and everything like that, and she was, but you can only do it to a certain extent.
Do you feel like though technology has been a benefit to you or a mixed bag?
I would say a disadvantage, and the reason being is because it also depends on what you're showing. If you're showing like wholesome content and it's just like, hey, this is me like cooking my meal, and you might not get more views, or you might not get engagement or whatnot, or responses, or like if you're on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble or whatever dating apps, if you and I've done both, where you post more provocative things, and where it shows more skin and more cleavage and more butt or whatever, and you look good, the responses you're gonna get are like, oh, you look so good, oh, you look so hot, oh, you look so sexy, or blah blah blah, But if you do more like wholesome, where you're not doing, you might be like, oh, you won't get that, but you might not even get any kind of response. So it's really heavily based off of looks.
And do you feel like so for us, because we didn't grow up with social media, when I got to it, the thought of another person approving or disapproving of what I posted was not a factor?
Oh no,
that's the earliest phase of Instagram was fuck it. We just were like, just for the love of the game, taking a picture, throwing it out there, didn't care. If people liked it, cool. If they didn't like it, that's almost not why I'm not saying I'm speaking for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just didn't post with the thought in mind of what will the collective say about what I do. I posted because I thought it was funny or I thought it was interesting. And I think had I grown up with it younger, that's why I'm so curious to hear. Like for you, it feels like that was immediately an important idea.
It was. No, I mean, you just put so much thought into it. You put so much thought into it. Like, okay, now what are other people gonna think? Are they gonna like it? How many likes am I gonna get? How many comments am I gonna get? That was always like the thought. It's never like, oh, I'm just posting this because like I want to and it feels good to me and I don't really care about what any of other people say. It was always to how others would perceive you. Like, oh, do I like look good and is my life look good? And you know, does it I'm going on all these vacations and like these trips, and I mean, I would see in like, oh, you know, this person's going to Disneyland or this person's going here. I'd be like, Mom, I want to go, and she'd be like,
no,
it's not something we
mom
did.
Would be like, that many people? Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely not. I'm not doing that.
She'd always just be like, we're not doing those things that everybody else is doing. You know, we have our own way of doing things, which is a lot different than those people. But
but you felt that comparison early.
Oh my God, yeah.
Do you still feel that now?
To a degree, I do. Like if someone like looks really, like say, you know, someone posts a bikini picture and their body looks really good. I'm like,
you don't have to know them.
No. You're like, dang, that like I wish my I want to look like that. Like I want my body to look like that. Or, you know, oh, I really like their makeup. Oh, okay, I want to know like how they do that because I want to look like that. You know, you're not looking at stuff. You're not looking at other people's content just to enjoy. Like there are certain things that I like. Yeah, on TikTok, like, oh, I have these content creators that I like to watch who like make these meals or
something funny
some
or stupid.
Niche thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
But not like to just enjoy watching somebody else's life. And I think the reason why is because we're also always comparing ourselves to that. Like, am I making enough money? Do I look as good as that? Am I skinny enough like that person? You know, do I have a nice house like that person? And like, I mean, you say comparison is like the greatest thief of joy. It really is. And or whatever the saying is, you know what I'm trying to say.
No, that's what people say that. Yeah.
And that's why I don't really like.
You don't linger on social media.
No, I
will say I think your generation is starting to leave it and they're kind of walking more toward analog experiences. They still like social media for the good things, but I think they're realizing the downsides in a way that, because I just don't have that feeling.
It makes you feel terrible about yourself.
Jesus.
See, that's the thing.
It's funny because John Haidt wrote this book called The Anxious Generation, and it really dialogues about all of the new mental health and emotional statistics that are appearing in younger people, and how he's basically like, you want my advice? They shouldn't have social media till they're 18. Because it destroys their concept of who they can be, because instead of trying to become who they are, they spend so much time trying to be this thing they see.
It's so true.
So it's really hard to find your identity when you're like, well, I don't have that body, or I don't have that house, or I don't have that lifestyle, or I don't have those kinds of friends, or I don't get those kinds of experiences. You spend so much time really. And the thing is, when I was younger, it was so funny because no one had monetized Instagram yet. Remember, it wasn't owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
It started as its own company. And so it was just photos.
Yeah.
So all it was a digital photo book. So all I was doing was going like, cool, this is basically like my photo reel, dog. There were no such thing as stories.
Yeah.
You could really, the explore page was wild, filled with random, the most no curated, no ads, I mean, nothing. And so it's just like, I took a couple pictures of my homies. I took a picture of like a plate of food one time. I took it was such a different world. And now it's just this machine. And every time I'm on it, I'm always like, I can't imagine being 13 accessing this. What would my brain think? And so I'm just curious about that. It's good to hear that, because I think it's cool that you found a balance with it, but it's even raising Huck at 10. I'm always like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. As sensitive as you are, no. Because you're going to think that, like, same thing with Zara. I'm just like,
oh, if I do this thing, I'll be cool, and then I'll tell my friends, but it's actually not cool.
Yeah. What we used to do when I was a kid is there was a show called Jackass.
Yeah.
Like guys, it had like Johnny Knoxville and
sounds familiar.
Steve-O and all these other dudes that like basically did these ridiculous stunts and would get hurt. And they were all stuntmen, and I guess. And we thought the coolest thing was to film ourselves doing these.
Oh my God, I know.
Jackass stunts. Yeah.
When you.
Yeah. So shouts out to the boys, bro. Steve Gould, Kelly McDermott did that squad.
Did you guys like set yourself on fire or something, or set something on fire, right?
We set Kelly McDermott on fire.
Exactly.
And then he was going to jump off the roof, but his foot slipped on the mossy roof. Foot slipped in the gutter, and he was whipped down into the earth. I was so worried that he had broken his chest, and we we had seriously injured him.
Oh my God.
It was totally fine. Later on, it was just
exactly.
But it was one of those things that I realized, like, but we thought that kind of stuff was cool. But it's the point that when you're young, what you see, you try to emulate.
Yep.
And so, as ridiculous and dumb as that was, we tried to emulate it because it was the coolest thing we knew about. And had we had social media, I could see where it could be so much more toxic because that was maybe the one thing. But the rest of the time, we sat around and played video games. We watched movies. We went and shot hoops. We screwed around and just bullshitted with each other. And because there wasn't an endless stream of it.
And I will say the other thing, too, of like, because you have access to it, and now it's even more than it was even like 5-10 years ago. Anything you could possibly think of, it's going to be online. And that is what, even me, it scares me. Because it's like, you could think of the darkest, worst stuff. It's going to be on there and you'll be able to find it and see it. And like that, like you're saying, that's why I feel old saying that. But like, yeah, kids should not have access to that. Because
it's also someone you walked through it. I didn't do that. So that's why I'm always just curious. Like, it's good to always hear your generation speak out about that because it's like, it's so easy for the older generations to continue to invest their money in these corporations that are getting bigger and more powerful. And like, yeah, it's a good thing. But then you're the one living through it. And you're like, let me be honest. It would have been cool to not have it. It would have been cool to be naive to what someone decided to do with their makeup, what vacation a person took that I won't be able to experience, how their body looks is not vital to me. It's not vital information to me becoming a good or thoughtful or self-confident person. That actual kind of naivete is a good thing because it's like, well, your biggest comparison is the girl at school who's the cutest. Well, she's always existed and that's always been there. And guess what? Generation after generation has survived that.
Exactly.
You sure as shit weren't comparing yourself to Zendaya. You weren't looking at the Kardashians going,
Zendaya.
Dang, or Zendaya, whatever. You got it. My bad.
You always say it wrong.
My bad. That's all good. Thanks for the heads up.
You're welcome.
But the point is like you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, there's all these now uber famous people that you can access I never knew what anyone famous was doing when I was younger. I'm like, oh, they're in that movie. I love them. But I never knew like, oh, this is how they're dressing. This is the ball. This is their body weight. This is what they look like. Oh my God, they're in, St. Lucia and they're with this other famous person and everybody looks so gorgeous. So obviously technology's been such a big impactor to the way, you grew up. But the other thing is too, and I'm also curious about this because it's the thing that kind of me and Callie and like, we love you, Mom, everybody. We want you to meet a person that feels good for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, I think, a harder time for your generation to meet people and feel good about those connections and feel like people are on the same page. When you think about it now, what's working in like that space for you? What's not working? What are you curious about? What are you trying to do? Or maybe you're just like, I'm not doing any of it. What is your kind of thought in that space?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Where do I even begin? I mean, as far as like guys and stuff, you have to live and you learn. You make choices and you learn from them. And definitely been played a lot. Definitely been like scammed a lot. Unfortunately, again, because men or boys or guys, whoever, they can say a lot of nice things. And as a young person who doesn't know a lot yet, you hear those things, and like you're saying, I am thoughtful, and I like to in some ways be not as much, but like be naive, like, well, they say they're gonna do it, like
you trust people.
Yes, that's what it is. I will trust people too soon and too fast, and so when they're like, no, like, I want to date you and I want to take you out and do these things, and like, no, I'm
getting love bombed.
Yeah. Or like, I'll fly you out, and like, let's talk about like, when does that look? Dude, it's been bad. It's been bad, and then I get ghosted. Yeah,
brutal.
It's rough.
I actually just talked to a friend of mine. God bless her. She's lovely.
Yeah,
and she was with somebody for 6 months.
Stop it.
6 months.
Stop.
A full ghost.
Like nothing.
Gone.
And like
I
in person, everything, like dating, like, seeing each other.
They don't exist. One day.
Oh my God!
That's just insane.
My mistake was a majority of them were from the military, so that
feels like that's not necessarily the strongest bunch.
Thank
Like
you for your
20-year-olds?
service. Thank you for your service. That is what I will say. Thank you for your service. Godspeed.
21-year-olds? 22-year-olds?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
20, 21,
Okay.
22. But they're just so like, you know, their job and stuff. And then it's
Yeah.
like, you know, they're traveling, they're here and there. But then
Sure.
it's like, oh, she's cute, you know, like let's hook up or whatever. But then I like get attached. And then I'm like, wait, no, but I like you, know, and then I might like come off too strong or whatever. And then that scares them off. So it's like, okay, they're just, okay, bye. And, you know, I'm a very emotional person. Of course it stings. Of course it hurts. And it's still like, if I think about it, like, yeah, it hurts my feelings. Like, it doesn't feel nice to be like, oh, I like you, and you treated me like garbage. Kind of walked all over me and then left a lot of times, you know? So, you know, I've learned my lesson in that way of like, hey, be sure. Like, watch what the person is doing. See, like, what they say, do they actually do? If not, don't want it. So there's one guy, he was in the military, and he said he would call me on my birthday to wish me happy birthday. Didn't do that, and then he's like, "Oh, so sorry, I meant to do that." Like, if you can't do that one thing, like, also we weren't even established. He was just like, yeah, I'll call you on your birthday, and didn't do that. And so many other things. He's like, yeah, I'll do this. Didn't follow through.
Didn't happen.
And then he like, I was coming off too strong. Oh, no. I was communicating my boundary. I was like, hey, this is what I'm cool with. This is what I'm not cool with. I'm noticing this behavior. I need you to like be more consistent in this, like communication. And so he's like, yeah, I'll do that. Didn't happen.
Didn't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, deuces, I'm good on this. Like, bye. Yo, he's hit me up like 3 separate times, blocked. At that point, I'm just me now. Oh, I have a thing now. I don't save men's numbers. And they'll text me. I'm like, who is this? And they're like, you don't remember me? I'm like, no, don't know who you are. You forgot. I had this one guy. He's like, you don't remember Ethan? I was like, yeah. So if you're not on my phone, I delete the messages and you're forgettable. So don't know. And so they don't like that.
This is brilliant.
And I do that now, which is not what I've done in the past. But in that regard, you know, like
So how do you feel about love? Do you just feel like it's something that you are just gonna like wait on? Is it something that you're like just kind of checking, but like you're just much more conservative now with your feelings and like what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm much more conservative now of like, you know, more and more I'm
not
learning.
gonna just take you at the first
yeah
word.
Exactly, and learn like what I'm truly wanting. Not just like, oh, they're nice to me and they say that they think that they are attractive to me and they're not. Like that's the bare minimum. That was the bare minimum. And you know, as I've like grown and gotten these new jobs and, you know, making more money and things like that, and I've been living on my own since I was 18, I am hyper independent in the fact that like, do I want a partner to do life things with, like go grocery shopping, make meals together, you know, be interested and be like, how's your day, and talk about all those things like you're saying, someone who's engaged. But they need the bare minimum right now is they need to meet me at the level where I'm at. They need to make the same money I do or more, because I can already pay for everything on my own. I can pay for the things that I want to look nice. I can pay for my nails. I can pay for everything. So
financials feels like a big thing.
I didn't think it was.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to hear.
But
it's a different economic time for your generation in a way that I don't think my generation thought of. Money coming in to be a factor. Sure, it was a factor, but I think what I always thought was like, I'll figure it out. I'm not gonna like I'm gonna try to pick someone based off of how quality the connection is.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as worried about what is the economic position. But now it is a lot harder to survive. And so I could see where someone's like, oh, buddy, if a person doesn't have that sense of like ability to provide at least for themselves,
exactly,
then it can put you in a position where you feel like, oh,
do I need to support you now?
Yes, because I
like,
don't necessarily know if I think I need my partner to make as much or more, because I'm kind of like, here's all I know, which is I tend to think, I want you to have some means by which you can also provide for yourself. Otherwise, what ends up happening is depending on the dynamic you want.
Absolutely.
Some people love that and make enough money to do that.
Yeah.
As a single dad, I don't necessarily have that money. So for me, it's kind of like, if you couldn't at some level sustain yourself, then the issue is I would find myself in a position where I'm like, oh, now I have to provide for you. And then I'd be like, well, I make pretty good money, but I don't know that I make enough money to support an entire other person.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And a child and myself.
Yeah.
So it is tricky. There is a little more to think about there.
Yeah, no, but that's not just one aspect. But
no, for sure.
I think with part of that, as I'm saying this, it's like the independence. It's like because I know how to do everything on my own. I know how to clean. I know how to keep a space nice. I know how to make it cozy. I know how to take care of...
Well, girls are always better at that shit.
That is true. No, that is
spot,
true.
My house is just barren walls. Like I haven't had the chance to... I haven't had a chance to decorate it. But also, too, it's like... That is true. It's not the top of my priority list.
Yeah.
So it's always like...
I guess what is important to me is someone who... I guess someone, like I'm saying, who meets me at my level. Who can. So I don't have to feel like I have to teach you how to do your laundry or tell you, hey, you need to like do this or put your socks in, you know, thing. You felt
like that's what you have to do now.
No, I'm just saying I don't want that.
No, I know, but I'm saying, is that what you've had to do in the past? You feel like that you're kind of dating, like, I guess I would say like immature or like kind of.
Yes.
Or like just non-independent people who are maybe overly reliant or overly...
Yeah, or like who don't take initiative. I think that's another thing. And I'll tell you why. Like, I had this ex who, you know, he had a lot of qualities that I really liked at the time that I worked for me and I wanted. But there were a lot of things that he didn't do that I was like, oh, wait, this need isn't getting fulfilled. And that was like, I was the one who was always saying, and like, we should do this. We should go do that. Like, hey, I want to try this. Hey, let's do that. And he was always just... he would just go along. He would never be like, oh, actually, I want to do this. Or, yeah, that sounds really interesting. He'd just be like, yep, cool.
You want him to be able to share and kind of you throw the ball, he catches it, he throws it back. So like, hey, I want to do this. You're like, cool, that was fun. So he's like, hey, you know what? I have an idea for next weekend. Would you want to do this? And you're like, oh, so fun, because you want to be able, I always feel like it's fun to bring things into someone's life. It's also fun when they bring things into yours.
Yeah.
And it makes you also feel a little bit special and that you're also in something unique with that person when they're exposing, adding, inviting you to these places in their life.
Yeah.
So I can get where that not having, all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm the only one that's having ideas. I'm the only one that's trying to create new experiences for us to connect, new things, ways to make memories, ways. And I think you might know this. I think women intuit this a little more often than men do, which is that who your partner is in one slice of life, in one medium, is only one version of them.
Yeah.
So like taking them to a sports game, that's one version of them. Taking them out to a nice dinner, that's one version of them. Taking them to a movie, that's one version. Taking them to a concert, taking them on a getaway, taking them to, a larger vacation, taking them to your friend's house, to your family. Each time that you put each other in new circumstances, you get to learn and meet new parts of them.
Yeah,
that's like
exactly.
so fun, and it feels like intimate and kind of cool because you get to see them. So when you're the only one that's doing that, the hard part is you kind of can get that sense a little bit like, I don't even know if you want to be here. I don't even know if you enjoy this. And then all of a sudden you're kind of like, I feel like I'm getting to know you, but you're not maybe getting to know me because these are things that I know I love, but you're not necessarily putting me in new spaces and new opportunities or new experiences that would help you get to know me also. Right. So like when I met Lynn, she was like, oh yeah, like let's go to the club. Let's boogie. Let's whatever. When we go to this, let's do this thing. And I was like, oh, I've never done that before. Sick. And she's like, it's so fun to do that with you. Like, I love it, but it was so fun. And I was like, yeah, that was a great time. But that whole thing of, and then I was like, hey, you want to come to this? She's like, this is so cool. And I go, yeah, this is like, I love doing this. She's like, this is awesome. So there is something I really do see in that shared experience of like give and take and adding that independence that you both can share. Because when you can both collaborate versus like one person needs help, one person's the helper. Some people like that dynamic. So I don't have judgment for it, but I do know for me, we were raised to be such ferociously independent people.
Yes, exactly.
That it's like, oh, if you're not an independent person, then it's hard. It's hard for us, which is a gift and a curse.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can do everything I want. It's like, do I need you for anything? Not really. But again, like, do I want a partner? Like I'm alone a lot, and I have
cats.
I love absolutely. She's my best friend. I love her so much. I'm missing her right now. But literally, I was like, I got here, I was like, I miss her, but I'll see her tonight and we'll cuddle. But we cuddle every single night. She's my baby. She's my like Velcro cat. Truly, she's been with me every single night for 12 years.
That is crazy.
Like we got her in 2014.
Winter?
Yeah, winter. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So she will probably be my first like heart, like, and I know that sounds funny or weird, but like you have such an attachment.
Oh, for sure.
And you love them so much, and you take care of them. And
it's your
like,
first probably real grieving. Yeah.
So I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do without her? Just because she's always there, right there, and even when she annoys me, like I just love her to death, and she's cute, and I get to love on her whenever, and she loves me just as much, you know, and it's apparent, you know, even though she doesn't like other people, she loves me, you know, so.
Well, the thing is, I'm not looking forward. I hope it's not for a long time to come.
No, me too. Hopefully, like, because some cats live to like 18, 20 years.
I mean, we're hoping
she's
that
an indoor cat, you know.
Yeah, maybe she'll pull it off. But I just know that
I
whatever.
have to take her to the vet, so I've been meaning to schedule her appointment, and it's really bad. But sometimes I'll put it off just because I'm like, you know, what you don't know won't hurt you. So
yeah, I will just say that if whatever train comes, you'll learn a lot about that, a lot about love, and a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we sign och, one thing that I always like to do, which one, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm really excited because we're going to eventually do our Sibs segment, which I'm really excited about, which we're still trying to decide
the best.
The Rat's Den, or if we're going to call
Mischief of Rats.
Or the Rat's Nest, or if we call
it a Mischief of Rats.
A Mischief of Rats?
That's just me.
Okay, then that's maybe what we'll call it. But we're going to do that, and then... But the thing is, I want to ask this because I think it's such a good thing to ask people, which is like, what's something that you're learning right now that you think you're learning about yourself or about life or just about whatever? What's something that you think you're learning right now?
Damn it. It goes back to work, dude, which is okay. But like, I'll give an example. So, you know, like, oh yeah, as a woman, but also like a minority, a person of color, if you are smart, if you're educated, if you're intelligent, if you look above average than other people or even better than said person, they will try to bring you down and make comments and little quips and have little attitudes, and like early on I would take that and internalize it like really, really badly, and then my feelings would just be so hurt. I would be distraught. Like, I can't believe that this person's being mean to me. Like, I haven't done anything wrong to them. Like, I haven't done any. Yeah, exactly. I haven't. What could they possibly not like about me? Because I have been nothing but kind and respectful and gracious and all the things that I'm supposed to be and that are me. But like, you're still going to come at me with that negative energy. That's insane. So as I've gotten older and, you know, even with you guys and, you know, with just the outside world and in the workplace of like, when people have those little quips and attitudes, I'm like, I ask myself, what would Callie do? What would Callie say? Because she's so good at it. She's a pro. Yeah. She's truly a pro at it. I think, what would Callie say or do in this situation? And I sometimes will apply like what I think she would do. And what she would do. And it's worked every time. It's worked every time because 9 times out of 10, those people who try to like bring you down and you're just very like probably blunt or forward or not what they're expecting, they back down. And then they try and be like nice again and then be like, oh, but then they'll try it again. I'm like, yeah, that does not fly. I'm not taking
crabs
that.
in a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll try to climb up your back if you let them. And I think that's a bunch of people in the world. And I think one of the big things is one of the unique things that me and Callie went through, and I think you too, but where we grew up, there was always some sort of racial issue. And very early on, I learned, and I think Callie learned the same lesson, that like there was no way to win. There's no way for us to win. Like, they were going to dislike you no matter how kind you were. They were going to dislike you whether you dressed a certain way, whether you liked there was no way to earn their normal, pleasant, average favor. Not your friend, not your favorite.
Just because like you're not white.
Just not white, and also just didn't do things their way, didn't say things their way. And so then it was like comments about your hair or your skin color or what you were into, or, you know, how you dressed, it didn't matter. There just was so many things that you could never have climbed those mountains to like earn their regard. And because we got that so much so early, it became very easy for us to go, oh, you get hurt enough. And eventually you realize, like, I'm choosing a little bit. I can't choose whether they're an asshole. They're an asshole, whatever. But I am choosing how much I allow those words to mean something to me. If I walked by the street and you walked down the street and you saw a person that was maybe not in a state of neurotypical health, maybe they're schizophrenic, And all of a sudden they looked at you and they said the worst possible shit to you in the world. You would never internalize it. You're like, that's a crazy person.
Yeah.
And you just move right on.
Mm-hmm.
It is the value that we give to other people's words that then has that secondary impact on us when we go, well, what they say means something. They're not crazy. But the second you go, well, you're fucking crazy, the words don't mean nearly as much. So there is that part that I think Callie has decided, and I think that's what you're doing, is realizing like I get to set the boundary on how far your words get to crawl inside my heart. And I can decide that when you say that dumb stuff, I can go, was that? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And just go, your words aren't going to, I'm not letting you win or like get to a place in me where I have to somehow acknowledge the shit feeling you want to hand me.
Yeah.
Like if you feel shitty about me, bro, feel shitty about me. That's for you. I feel good.
Also, or like people will try it out just to see, like, will it work on them?
Because it might make them feel stronger.
Yep,
like, ooh, I got someone under my thumb.
No.
And these are the
Not
subtle.
gonna work.
Yeah.
Not gonna work.
I love hearing that. That really is cool. And I'm so glad you're learning that because the higher you climb, the worse it gets. The more public facing you become, the more critics you'll have, the more success you achieve, the more people will genuinely try to, and also the more yourself you are. There's also the second layer of like, I tend to find, at least it's been this way for me. You have to tell me if it's like this for you, but like everybody's into a certain thing, doing a certain thing.
Yep.
Believing a certain thing, has these certain norms. Any workplace has a culture, which is just a set of unwritten rules about how things ought to go. And the second you decide to do something differently, people are down your throat. People are judging you. People have negativity to say to you about how you should be. And if you let that shit get to you, I always just feel like it's such a form of slavery. Like it just stops you from being yourself. And now I owe you what? I owe my sense of self to your decision about what I should be. It's a painful fucking place to be. So I'm really glad you're fighting that fight.
Thanks. Yeah. No, definitely. That is definitely, one thing that I'm working on and learning how to do. And Callie, again, she always has the best advice. It's like, match people where they're at. If they're coming out with you an attitude, great, you have an attitude back. But like, well, not like that. But you know, she didn't say that. But I'm just saying, like, if they're gonna be a jerk, why should I be nice to you? Yeah, I'll be a jerk right back. Like, I don't owe you anything. Why would you be a jerk to me and me like, okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. I really appreciate it.
I think what you're doing, a lot of this all kind of sounds, which is really cool to hear, is like, it's not just this like process of like, I'm figuring out who I am at work in that way. That's a form of growth and boundary setting and listening to yourself and being true to who you are and what you want. It's simultaneously when it comes to relationships. I'm also doing this other work of going, you know what? They're going to meet me where I'm at. This is what I know I want. Now I've learned more about myself, what my expectations are, what my beliefs are, what's vital in a relationship for me if I'm really going to actually seriously consider it. And at the same place, also happening at work of like, or with other people, like, hey, I'm learning how to limit other people's words and their impact to derail me as the individual that I am, to find the love and regard for myself to go, you know what, I'm just not going to let you push me around and crawl over me. In all these ways, you are just doing a very masterful job of like carving out the space to be yourself, to learn how to honor yourself and realizing that like these are all versions of you. Who you are at work is a version of you, and you owe that person your best self-love and respect and protection in the same way that when you are in a romantic environment, I owe myself that same love, respect, and attention. And when I'm all of a sudden with other people who have the need to, I owe myself that. And just learning that at 24 is such a powerful thing, and you're doing a killer job, dude. It's really hard.
It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like
you're doing
it,
better than you think. Because I'm telling you
Thanks.
what the easy path is, the cheap seat, is to try to abandon yourself toward acceptance. Because every human being wants belonging.
Oh, you're right. And I did do that for like growing up.
Everyone's done that, dude.
But then I do remember, and I think that is why now, at this age, I think I was a late bloomer. It took me some time.
Fuck, I'm still blooming.
Yeah. Very, very late.
You might be able to see only one petal. I'm trying to get it
fall.
going. I'm trying to get it going. Yeah.
No, same. But yeah, I was such a late bloomer that, I'm learning all these, but I think in the things that I'm learning right now, I'm leaps and bounds from my peers, from at least people my age. Of like, my goals, what I'm wanting to learn, what I'm wanting to do, the way that I'm wanting to grow. I like you're saying, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm just trying to like survive and like make it and do the bare minimum. I will never be that person. I will never do the bare minimum. It's just not me. I have to do well and exceed. It's just who I like, what I have in myself. It's like, no, you're not. And you know, like mom, like when I told mom I will be going to college, and it wasn't even like, no, I think it's like, no, I will be, and I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it's kills me. I'm gonna work and get my degree, and I did. And it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Like, yeah, the homework, the hours, blah blah blah, I still got it and I did it. And you know, with, you can cut this part out, but like even with the job thing that I'm working on with right now, I told mom, I was like, if I wanted to, and told myself, oh, I get that job, I just would. And that is one thing I know about me, is like when I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I don't care how hard it is, I don't care how long it takes, but it will get done.
I love that. I'm the same. I feel the same way. I think Callie does too. I think that is one of the gifts of that hyper independence, is the sense that you really are the captain of your soul, and you really are the person who will say what goes. I look at your life and I'm like, you are, as we talked about earlier, like you're a young girl who journeys across the ocean to come live here in a very diverse family. You find your way through really rough school years, some pretty big mental health battles.
Bad ones, yeah.
Yeah,
really
you get to a place, you fight your way through college, you get out of that, you have these shit jobs, you plug through, you do all the shit
Scrappy
that scares
guys,
you.
yeah.
You get to this next thing, you do all this stuff, and I always just try to hope you, I think I've said it before, but like you just remember when you win, when you get over that hump, when you beat that thing that used to beat you, like that is you now. What I can say about myself means more to me than whether I love every moment that I'm living. I want to be able to say about myself, like, I'm a fucking dog. Like, you can't break me. I'm going to find my way out of this to something better. And like you said, you will rue the day.
Yeah, you will.
Well, dude, I just want you to know I love you so much. I'm so excited to have you on some other time.
Thank
I can't wait.
so
We'll do the Sim
much.
segment. That's going to be really,
so
really
excited.
good.
Yes,
But
thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Of course.
And we'll have to do it again. I'm so excited.
I love you, dude.
I love you too.